Welcome, 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 my fellow door openers to another exciting episode of Doors of the Universe podcast. Today we are going to go on a journey to the American South. Today we open a door deep in the woods into a place where shadows stretch longer than they should, where eyes gleam in the dark, and where legend lives on in the soil. You may have heard of the Wampus Cat. You may not have. I don't remember where I initially heard about the Wampus Cat. It was probably one of the episodes about a creature from the Fearsome Critters would be my guess. But the Wampus Cat is another fearsome critter. It's a haunting creature of southern folklore, said to be half woman, half beast, with glowing eyes that drives its victims to madness. But what if I told you the truth was wilder, older? What if I told you the Wampus began as something sacred and something stolen? Early references from the American Dialect Society describe the Wampus Cat as a creature heard whining about camps at night, a spiritual green-eyed cat having occult powers, or an undefined imaginary animal. Writing in 1951, folklorist Vance Randolph described the Wampus Cat as a kind of amphibious panther which leaps into the water and swims like a colossal mink. The Wampus Cat was mentioned in newspaper accounts of the 1930s in the Piedmont of North Carolina, where the creature was accused of killing livestock. Henry H. Tyron's humorous 1939 book, Fearsome Critters, describes the Wampus Cat as being native to Idaho and having an amazing right forearm that works like a folding pruning hook on the pantographic principle. He gives it the binomial nomenclature Aquila mapreludens forsythie. The name Wampus Cat probably originates from the term Catawampus, which is an adjective that means out of alignment, in disarray or disorder, crooked or askew. Throughout the Appalachian region, the Wampus Cat is known by different names from Galliwampus to Whistling Wampus and is rumored to appear at twilight or dawn. In Appalachian folklore, the mythical beast is often portrayed as the cat-like embodiment of a cursed woman who was punished for her disobedience or involvement in witchcraft. Other interpretations suggest that the concept of the Wampus Cat was influenced by European mythology, specifically the idea of witches or women with shape-shifting abilities. These influences may have merged with local Appalachian folklore over time. Some historic accounts also lend weight to the existence of the Wampus Cat. The Greenville Sun reported December 18th in 1918, a Wampus is reportedly roaming the Big Ridge in the vicinity of Gethsemane. The newspaper went on to say that sightings and rumors of the Wampus Cat have persisted for generations, further fueling the intrigue and tall tales surrounding the beast. Years later, the creature made headlines again when it was blamed for a string of livestock deaths. Newspapers reported that the elusive monster had consumed dogs, pigs, and other animals in the Norfolk area. They speculated that the Wampus might belong to a species long believed to be extinct. While the papers of yore published a few reports of the Wampus Cat killing livestock, there is still no tangible proof of the cryptid's existence. So that is what we know of it from Appalachian background. History in witches and mythology, but still of cat and woman combined. To find where its real origins may come from, we have to journey back a little further. Long before white settlers arrived in Appalachia, before logging roads, before legends were rewritten, the Cherokee knew of the creature not as the Wampus, but as the Awa, a forest demon, feline in form, feared for the way it could unravel the human mind with a single stare. I read a lot of articles, listened to a lot of podcasts, and this was This is probably my favorite explanation of where the Wampus Cat comes from. And something that I find interesting is I feel like a lot of times these stories are either passed down and can change over time, and sometimes a culture will just take the story and try and make it their own, making it their own creature. I'm finding more and more situations where these cryptids that I'm coming across come up through lumberjack lore, which again, I've brought this up a couple times. Lumberjack lore is one of my favorite things about American history, is getting to hear all these stories that lumberjacks would tell around the fireplace after the workday was done, and kind of winding down for the day before bed, exchanging stories. Something I hope that comes out of this podcast is you being able to learn something new that you may not have heard before, getting to experience stories of things from other cultures, things that had, like I said, stories that have been passed down over generations and hopefully don't get lost. It's just good, clean fun, It's fun. It's fun. And when you go camping or when you're sitting around the fireplace at night, you can have these stories to tell to your friends and family. Either way, I enjoy them, and I hope you enjoy these stories as much as I do. But let's get to the real story here. The story of a woman by the name of Running Deer. She was young, sharp-eyed, and restless, a woman of her tribe, but never one to obey quietly. The village called her a troublemaker. She considered herself curious. One afternoon, while working in the fields with the other women, she spotted a fox dart into the tree line. The flash of red fur was too tempting. She slipped away without a word, stalking through the woods like the hunters did, like the men did. She was good, too good, better than some of the men, though no one dared say it. But just as she raised her bow to take a shot, a small head popped up from the bush. A pup. The fox was a mother. Running Deer sighed, lowering her arrow. So much for that pelt. While the pelt would be beautiful, the pup needed a mother more than she needed a pelt. She turned back toward the village, empty-handed, but not regretful. Standing Bear, her husband, would have been proud either way. He was the only one who understood her. He taught her how to hunt in secret. He saw the fire in her spirit, not as a flaw, but as a gift. But as the sun dipped low, and the shadows stretched thin across the forest floor, a new worry tugged at her. Nightfall. Something had been stalking the village. It hadn't attacked, not directly, but it was feeding on something more subtle. Fear. It began with a child's scream, a little girl, dazed and silent, pointing towards the woods, one word on her lips. Awa. The sickness spread like wildfire, not through blood, but through the mind. Children waking up, frozen in terror, their eyes vacant, their spirits hollow. It wasn't a plague, it was something older, something darker. A demon of the forest. That night, when Running Deer returned home, she found Standing Bear sharpening his dagger, a satchel packed at his feet. He had been chosen by the elders, he said. A group of men would gather in secret to fight the Awa, to banish it. Running Deer was furious. Take me with you, she begged. This is our fight, every one of us. But he looked away. Even he, the man who taught her to hunt, couldn't defy tradition. The elders had spoken. Women were not allowed. So he kissed her once and left in silence. She should have waited. She should have obeyed. She should have cooked corn and prayed like the other wives. But Running Deer never had been good at waiting. She followed them. Draped in a bobcat pelt from her home and a shadow, she crept in the woods and watched as the village's wisest men gathered by firelight. She heard their chants, saw the reverence in their eyes as they prayed to the gods, not for victory, but for forgiveness. They were preparing to kill a creature of the earth, after all. It was beautiful, and forbidden. She didn't mean to make a sound, but one wrong step, a snapped twig, and suddenly every bow was aimed at her, standing bears included. She cried out, "Don't shoot!" and stepped into the firelight. The punishment for witnessing sacred ritual was exile, or worse. The elders asked Standing Bear how she should be judged. He looked at the ground and said, "Let it wait. The beast comes first." So they tied her hands and sent her home. She sat beside her husband's empty mat, haunted by more than the threat in the woods, haunted by betrayal, by a system that told her she didn't belong. And then, days later, Standing Bear returned. But he wasn't the same. His body was broken, torn by claws, and his eyes were empty. He was breathing, but barely. Alive, but not. He had seen the Awa. Running Deer was forced to take care of him by himself. No one came, not the elders, not the men he once stood beside. The sickness was shameful, contagious, and so they abandoned him. Only one visited, Long Warrior, the village elder, the same man who once ordered her imprisonment. One night, as Standing Bear lay still and silent, Running Deer whispered, "If only there was a way to save you." And then she saw it, his necklace of wampum beads glinting in the firelight. Her reflection stared back at her. She had an idea. She went to the elders. She told them she would fight the Awa herself. They laughed until she stared them down with the weight of grief and fury in her voice. "I am already living my greatest fear," she said. "Let me face the creature. I have nothing left to lose." Longwire looked into her eyes and saw something unshakable. They gave her a mask crafted from a bobcat pelt, with mirrored eyes, made of polished wampum. If the Awa's power lay in its gaze, then maybe, just maybe, it could be undone by its own reflection. Running Deer disappeared into the forest. She tracked the beast for days, past the known trails, into the ancient places where trees leaned like old spirits in the wind-carried whispers. At last, she found a pit filled with bones, both animal and human. She had found the Awa's lair. She waited in silence for its return. It returned moments later, dragging fresh prey. Running Deer hid beneath the remains of the animals and humans, her breath shallow, her resolve steady. When the creature left, she followed it to a stream. It drank unaware. She didn't have her bow, so she crept forward, silent, barefoot, heartbeat steady, until she was close enough to strike. She grabbed her dagger. She leapt, and the blade sank deep. The Awa howled and flung her onto the ground, pinning her. Yellow eyes locked onto hers, and suddenly she was drowning in visions. Her greatest fears, loneliness, exile, a life without purpose. But she had already endured them. She stared back. "You show me my fears," she whispered. "Now it's your turn." She lifted the mirrored mask, and the Awa screamed. In that moment, she saw into the beast's soul. Its own nightmares, forests cut down, mothers hunted, fire devouring the sacred wild. The demon wasn't born evil. It was born of loss. Then, with a final cry, it burst into black smoke. As she stood up, the mask absorbed the black smoke, and the force knocked her backwards. And when she rose, she was changed. Fur covered her skin, her hands had claws, her eyes gleamed like the beast's. Running Deer had destroyed the Awa, and become it. She let out a cry, but it was no longer human. It echoed through the trees like thunder and grief and power. She could not return to the village, but she could protect it from afar. Days later, as the children danced by the fire, whole and healthy again, she stood hidden at the edge of the woods, watching. Standing Bear was there, alive and full of life. But his eyes were still heavy with sorrow. She stepped out, just long enough for him to see her. He reached for his bow. She tossed him his old dagger. Their eyes met. He didn't see a monster. He saw love. She spoke, not aloud, but in a voice only his soul could hear. I cannot return, but I leave you with my love and a warning. We are meant to share this world, not conquer it. And then she was gone. But Standing Bear remembered. He taught his people to respect the land, to hunt only what they needed, to listen to the wind and to the trees, because he knew deep down that his wife still roamed those woods, and he didn't want to disappoint her. So I hear that story, and the ending of it, I can only think of Kids by MGMT. Control yourself, take only what you need from it. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Kids MGMT. If you haven't heard it, listen to it. It's great. Either way, so what became of the Awa? Colonial settlers unfamiliar with Cherokee belief renamed her. They called her the Wampus, and in doing so, they buried her story under fear and folklore. She became a warning to children, a mascot for team sports, a footnote in settler mythology. But beneath it all, beneath the mispronunciations and the rebranding, the truth remains. She was never just a monster. She was a guardian, a reckoning, a reminder that the land remembers, and the wild will always rise to defend itself. We have paid homage to the Wampus Cat, or the Awa. The Wampus Cat is the mascot of 5 schools in Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Idaho. The enigmatic creature has not only woven itself into the rich tapestry of folklore, but has also left its mark on popular culture. You can read about its haunting presence in Cormac McCarthy's novel, The Orchard Keeper. I have not read it, but I'm always looking for new books, so we're going to add it to Libby. That's going to go on my Libby request. Again, if you're not using Libby, use Libby. It's a great free resource. You can check out books, audio. You can check out ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, other things, as long as you have a public library card, which is also free. The knowledge is out there. Knowledge is power. Knowledge grows flowers. Read some books. I have been trying to consume as much knowledge as I can lately. I try to. I believe I have undiagnosed ADHD, or maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. Could be one of the two. But either way, I have a really hard time sitting down to read a book. But that's probably not true either, because I've said that. I was talking with somebody recently about how I just have a hard time sitting down and listening to audiobooks now. Like, even if it's a subject I really like, my mind just starts losing focus and starts going other places. So, who knows? Or it could just be stress. There's a lot going on in the world right now. But, yeah, it could be a mixture of things. Who knows? Life's fun. I don't know. Probably something I'll talk to my doctor more about next time I go. Oh my gosh, I'm going on a rant. Either way, it's formidable images. The Wampus Cat's formidable images pop up in fantasy role-playing games, including Dungeons and Dragons. It's within the Harry Potter universe, which you do you. If you want to support Harry Potter, you can. You do you. We're all going to do what we're going to do. Support them. Don't support them. I love the Harry Potter stories, but I also think J.K. Rowling's kind of a But either way, where magic wands contain cores made of enchanted substances, Wampus here makes an appearance as the core material. The Wampus is also one of the 4 houses of the Ilvermorny School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in North America. The Wampus Cat is thought to have been responsible for killing livestock in the Appalachian and southern areas. Reports of the Wampus Cats first came in the first half of the 19th century, with sightings continuing to this day. Willie McQuillan from the AIMS team on the show Mountain Monsters encountered it when he was 9 years old. His parents told him to get something from the shed late at night. He went out and came face to face with a jet black, panther-like creature with glowing eyes. The creature gave a high-pitched hissing-like sound, which frightened him back inside his house. Many years later, on his same farm, he had the same kind of encounter with the beast, precisely like the encounter he had as a 9-year-old. He also lost a lot of his pigs to the creature. Another meeting around the same area happened when a lady was driving a school bus late at night, and a creature that was black and large leaped out of the woods in front of the bus. There is a musical ensemble named the Wampus Cats. They recorded several tracks in 1937 and 1938 and consisted of 6 to 7 string musicians. In Skylanders Imaginators, Skyland Sensei Mysticat is a sphinx with the traits similar to those of a Wampus Cat. Sounds like a stretch to me, but we'll give it to him. A fan made My Singing Monster Island by YouTuber Professor Toot, which I have not looked up, but the name alone, Professor Toot, I'm in. I'm sold. Let's get this. Let's get them some likes. Features a monster based on the Wampus Cat called Cat Tustic. So that is all the information I have on the Wampus Cat. There is a small amount of information. I feel like this is definitely one creature that has a lot less information on the internet about it than some of the other ones I have researched. But I will include all the links as usual in the show notes. Check it out more yourself. Learn more about the AWA and the Wampus Cat yourself. Do a little digging, have a little fun, get down tonight. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, what do you think? Let me know what you think. Let me know. Is the AWA just a tale of the Cherokee people trying to warn people to be a little more thoughtful with their usage of the land, be a little more careful in what they take from the earth? Or is it a real sacred cat that is out there and protecting? I mean, we're still having reportings of the AWA today. I would assume, I'm not positive, but I would assume by this time that it has changed hands or changed bodies that it is possessing. But either way, let me know what you think. Comment somewhere. There'll be some Instagram posts put up about this. Either comment on Instagram, Blue Sky, somewhere. I've been a little off the social media lately. So yeah, my posts haven't been as frequent, but I'll get some out about this just to get it out there, get some advertisement that this is the new episode's going to be out. As always, thank you for listening. Please check out the socials. And hopefully my page brings a little positivity to your life. If you're going to doom scroll, you might as well have some positive things in there, right? Either way, thank you for listening. Check out those socials. As always, Linktree is the go-to to find any of my social media. Patreon is where you can help support the podcast. It's just something I do for fun. I would love if I had the ability to have this be a full-time job and all I had to do was just research really cool things and send them your way, and share them with people. Share with this community. This is a fun community to be a part of. It's a fun group of people. I always like meeting like-minded people that enjoy stuff like this. They're usually a lot more fun to hang out with. But yeah, that is all I've got. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. But if you're ever in the South and well, it said Idaho too. I mean, this starts where it says the South, but I know they said Idaho as well. I mean, for the most part, it looks like the South. I know there was the Idaho portion of it too, but as always, keep an eye to the sky. And you happen to find yourself in the southern woods of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, or maybe even Idaho. Keep an eye out for some glowing yellow eyes. And realize they're not there to harm you, but just to remind you, we should only take what we need from it. I'll see y'all next time.